Hand of Fate is a card game, mini-game mashup with roguelike elements. In it, you face the dealer, the mysterious narrator of your game of fate and chance.
Again you face me. Again you are a fool. More than anything, I am proud of my array of curses.
This plutonian demigod serves as an incredible game master as you move your piece around, play minigames, and take on impossible odds. The game? Cards, of course. Cards that represent events that happened during your life, and the effects that happened because of your decisions. There are 13 challenges that await you, each of which is represented by a face card in this case here.
The cold embrace of death, and the first stuttering steps of new life.
Think of it as a sort of tarot that's out to kill you. Whenever you enter a combat and turn over a monster card, the suit and number will tell you the type of monster and the number you're facing. The first boss is a face card called the Jack of Dust, a sort of super bandit that brings along his posse everywhere he goes. Easy enough to learn and a solid mechanic. The first phase of every turn involves moving your game piece to the next face-down card that represents the map you're traveling on. The cards represent events, traps, treasures, and monster encounters. The card turns over and is resolved accordingly. It could be a shop, a game of chance, a battle, anything. This card, for example, is called Charity. A priest will ask you to donate food to starving orphans, and if you do, you have a chance to receive a blessing or an item from him and unlock the next card in line, Charity 2. Charity 1 then vanishes and is replaced with the more advanced card. Card lines are arranged this way to tell stories throughout the game. Will you donate your blood to a starving vampire in exchange for gold? If you do, you'll be granted access to the Blood Auction, where you can trade health for magic items. Would you help a young couple sneak out of town under the girl's father's nose? It's all up to fate and chance here. Oftentimes you'll be given 4 cards to choose from, and they'll be mixed up, and then you'll pick one. Successes lead to good results, and failures usually mean nothing happens or something bad happens. Easy enough, though it is up to chance if your eyes aren't fast enough, so that means it can be a huge turnoff to a lot of people. Sometimes the cards move slowly enough you can track the right one, but more often than not you can't, and it's just up to fate and chance. The game is filled with mini-games like navigating trapped mazes, fighting monsters, and the like. Resolving card lines sometimes ends with one-time boss battles, unlocking treasure cards that you can draw anytime you resolve certain events, and so on. Say you defeat the King of Skulls, one of the bosses. In doing so, you unlock his sword and helmet. Now you can put those in your treasure deck and use them whenever an opportunity lets you draw a card from your treasure deck. It's very interesting. It's all about building on whatever you've already done, as cards will only yield rewards once. Certain cards will disappear once they've been resolved and replace themselves with the next card in that storyline, or with a more difficult version of that card that yields higher rewards. There are shops to buy and sell items and food. Food is the number of moves you have left before you start starving and losing health. So food is always a priority in this game so you don't drop dead of starvation. This game is amazing at teaching you its mechanics and then slowly stacking the deck against you over time. Each time you defeat a boss, it goes back into the pool of possible monster cards that can appear. So if you beat the Jack of Dust, he can appear anywhere now, so anytime a combat encounter pops up, it's possible to face him all over again. So 12 or 13 bosses in, you can imagine how nasty that gets if there are 12 boss characters that can pop up at any time. It's perfectly possible to face multiple bosses at the same time, each one bringing their own group of enemies with them all at the same time. It's very easy to get overwhelmed by sheer circumstance, but that's the nature of a roguelike, I suppose. My main complaint about this game is the difficulty curve, to be honest. You will slam through the first 10 or 11 bosses, having a blast and thinking that you're a pretty tough badass, and then you'll be ground to a halt. The 12th boss, the King of Scales, is a tough cookie in and of himself, and then the final boss is nearly impossible. I won't spoil it for you, but let's just say you have to face all the previous bosses in groups of 3, and kill all of them in one go before you can seriously even get to the last person. It's outrageous, and it has to be done all in one battle. No rest, no recovery. You have to kill all 13 bosses all at once in the end. It's a verifiable brick wall. Frankly, it artificially extends the length of the game. The only thing you can really do at this point is go back and resolve other card storylines to unlock better loot, gear, and other things. For example, the charity line of cards unlocks a lot of different magic rings, and there are a ton of cards. So while you may have gotten all the way up to the end, the final area is just so ball-bustingly difficult, you'll spend 90% of your playtime just trying to unlock more cards and muscle your way past that final challenge. Hand of Fate is easy and thrilling until you get to the final challenge and then just stops you in your tracks. The achievements have mostly to do with resolving card storylines or having done a lot of a certain action. The addictive quality of the cards, the gameplay, and the dealer seriously make this game, though. Who are you? What sort of life did you lead with all these wildly varied cards that are all about you? Who is the dealer? The questions and mysteries that this game presents are great. The mood and the plutonian setting, this dark hall here, is amazing and changes the deeper you go.
It would be so easy to create a game that merely defeats you. A game in which you stand no chance, also completely unfair. That is not how I work. I refuse to play in such a manner. Our game is fair, and you will be defeated fairly.
You will be smashing your keyboard in frustration, but you will keep coming back to learn more, to unlock more cards, and so on. I'm not kidding. I'm a guy who spends his time ripping down roguelikes, but this game is just freaking cracktastic. I can't recommend it enough. Now, it's not for the impatient, and you will probably never beat that 13th challenge, but this game is worth it for the unique experience alone. I highly, highly recommend this one.